So today we are in this small town of Scottsdale, Arizona. It's called Old Town Scottsdale in the Grand Canyon state of Arizona. This town was originally established in 1888, and what you are looking at right now, these are the remnants of the old town. Some of these shops, I'm sure that they're not maintaining the original structure because the facade of these shops have already changed, and now what you see are the boutique shops here. But at one time, this must have been the old town of Scottsdale. It was established in 1888 and by some guy, I think Win Scottsdale. He established this town, and they say in one of the streets here, this is Fifth Street, I guess. On the second street, he put two olive trees, one on each end of the street, and that's how he started this town. Originally, there at one point, there were about, I believe, he started with about 200 people, and right now, the population of this town is about 4,000 people. Very nice weather in this town throughout the year. Generally remains sunny like it is today. It does get cold, in certain times of the year. There are a couple of blocks. Gives you a nice, quaint little lazy town kind of an environment, vibe about it. But so basically, showing you the town is not the main purpose. The main purpose is the conversation we were having the other day about what's going on in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine right now. And I'll go a little deeper into that conflict. Like I had mentioned earlier, that this conflict is about the Russian pride, which was bruised with the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And Putin, being an active agent of KGB at one time, he was part of that old Soviet Union in his early days. He had seen the Soviet pride, and he also saw its disintegration. So he has revved up, his public through this constant propaganda that we all get mired into from time to time. The propaganda of pride, patriotism, nationalism, all that kind of a stuff. And that's what he built up. That's why majority of the Russians are with him in this conflict. And also, in addition to the Russians, the ethnic Russians living within the borders of Ukraine. Ukraine, by the way, is the third largest country in the continent of Europe. It is also, like I had earlier said, that this is also was the third largest nuclear power at one point, and even now, this is also the country of Chernobyl. The Chernobyl disaster, if you remember that, in the 1980s, the nuclear accident in Chernobyl, it is still, that area is closed. That area is not open for any kind of a life, and the fight is going on around it. Still, Ukraine has about 15 nuclear power reactors. So it's not a small state. So now, how we can solve the conflict? Like I said, that this is about the Russian pride, which is not only for Russia, for also for the people of Russian ethnic origin. They also identify themselves, with Russia more than they identify themselves with Ukraine. So back in 2014, when the pro-Russian president was ousted through a popular uprising, in reaction to that, Russia annexed the southern Crimean Peninsula, and that made it, through their own declaration of the Congress, they made it part of Russia. So Crimea is gone. It's a very important port city of Ukraine. So now coming to the solution, because it's not only just to describe the conflict, we also have to find out the solution. The solution from the Russian perspective, naturally, is that we are coming right next door to Russia. So what he offered, because remember that he said that Ukraine, just like Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld said, that it is a rogue state which is trying to attack Russia at some point with nuclear weapons. So now he has added that this is also a government of the neo-Nazis. So he is revved up his public and the public opinion against Ukraine with all these accusations and allegations. Now, in terms of the resolution, what he suggested what they call a Finland solution. Finland, if you realize, Finland is also, like Ukraine, is a neighbor to Russia, but throughout Cold War and in the World Wars, Finland has been able to maintain its neutrality. And how it has been able to maintain strict neutrality? Because it became part of that non-aligned segment of nations. They were not part of NATO. They were neither part of NATO nor they were part of Warsaw Pact. So he offered a Finland solution to Ukraine. And I guess today there are some indications that right now in the Belarusian capital of Minsk, they are meeting together and trying to work out a Finland model, a Finland solution to this problem. Finland solution meaning that Ukraine will accept and will declare absolute neutrality when it comes to different blocks, different nation blocks. So Ukraine, he's demanding that Ukraine accept that kind of a solution where it will never join NATO. Joining NATO was the invitation of NATO to Ukraine, although it is nothing formal yet. It has always been used as a stick to pressurize Russia. That we will have NATO right next door to you. Being NATO, meaning attack on one country is attack on every other country, meaning all at your disposal. Your nuclear warheads, your aircrafts, your ships, your submarines, all have to come to aid of any one of the NATO nations if they are attacked by any other country. This is the clause they used when they attacked Iraq and Afghanistan back then. But Iraq and Afghanistan, was a NATO response to that. But I must remind you once again, Ukraine was not a part of NATO, but Ukraine had its third largest contingent in Iraq and in Afghanistan. Why? We don't know the answer to yet. Maybe I don't believe in karma or anything like that, but this is coming back to Ukraine, that they attacked on a country which they had no nose to put in for. Why did they go to Iraq? Why did they have to go to Afghanistan? But they did go for what? For money, for being seen as allies to United States and the European Union. So for now, that is a question that remains unanswered. Why why did Ukraine become part of the Allied forces in Iraq and Afghanistan? If what is happening to now, or to Ukraine, Russia remained silent, or kind of looked the other way when the United States and others attacked on similar excuses, ruses. They attacked that country. Maybe it's time for the United States to look the other way and let Russia handle its problems and let Ukraine handle its own problems. That's all for now.